Hey everyone, my name is Chuck, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to use 3 new devices that I just dropped on my Gumroad. If you want to check them out, you can scan this code right here, or the link is also in the description. Now, these 3 devices were a part of a presentation I just gave last week, and honestly, my childhood dreams were fulfilled. I got to give an official presentation on sound design at Ableton's LA office space. It was an amazing public event in which me, Daltrick, Mini Bear, Tech Beats, and Jonathan Stein all showed how we've been using the Push 3 to incorporate into our workflows. The presentation I had 100 seats, and hours before I got there, they were already filled up. One of those people being Ludacris, which I'm still processing. I can't say in words in this video alone how much that means to me. But overall, it was an amazing day. And as an artist, I want to take all these crazy things I love and just make them more accessible and speak through the music for other people to connect with it. So I just want to say a big thank you to the Ableton team for always giving me the platform to do just that. My presentation was 45 minutes long, so I found like 7 or 8 tiny clips of the cool things I covered. I've only posted one of them so far, and it has been going so crazy on TikTok and Twitter in just like a day or two. I'm so appreciative. If you haven't seen that video yet, here it is. I'm gonna be just on my trackpad and you can see my hand. Here's what I want to show y'all. This was a mistake. Watch this microphone. Just for an envelope follower. So with all of this said, I want to jump right in and show you how to use that first device, the scrub sampler, and then I'll break down how it works. Also, quick heads up, if you like the background music in this video, I made it with samples from my own splice pack, which just came out a couple weeks ago. I made all of these sounds with these devices in mind, so if you want to check it out, the link is down below, and I highly encourage you to take those samples and place them into each one of these 3 presets to unlock the levels of interactivity that were intended for them. Setting this up is super easy, and it works on your trackpad, your microphone, an iPhone app called Skym, which was made for expressive movement, and on the Push 3 with MPE, which is a new type of MIDI that tracks your finger movements and stores that as automation. When you open up the scrub sampler, you only need to do 2 things to get this to work. You drag in a sample, and then create a super long MIDI note that plays middle C, both of which I've already provided in the download for you. So I'm just going to drag in the sample here, drag in the MIDI, hit play, and the trackpad already works. If you have a sample that starts quieter and gets louder, just click on the sampler, go to the modulation tab, and make sure that this value right here is 100. This means that the sampler is going from 0 to 100 from quiet to loud, and it should feel realistic. If you have a sample that rattles from loud to quiet the opposite way, go back to that same tab and drag it all the way down to -100. If I go back to the main page where you can see the waveform, the sampler is actually moving from right to left instead of left to right. And this just depends on what kind of results you want from the sample. So now to set this up with your microphone, first you want to make sure you have your mic set up in the preferences and your buffer size is at least 128 or smaller. Then open up a new audio track, rename it to microphone, mute it, and then just set monitoring to in, which is blue. This means Ableton can hear your mic, but you can't, so no feedback will happen. Now in the microphone tab of the actual scrub sampler itself, you want to go to the compressor, make sure the sidechain is yellow and the little headphone icon is blue, and then set the input to the audio track we just named microphone. You'll see the audio from your mic is now in the compressor. Go to this envelope follower right here, click map, and then just click on the giant scrub button. If your mic signal's too loud, you might actually see it cutting off inside the envelope follower, and it makes the scrub sampler not feel as good to play. So I would mess around with the gain and get it to a point where the loudest sound that you're making, if you're swinging your mic, if you're tapping it, make sure you can always see the peaks in the envelope follower. You can also mess with the rise and fall settings on the envelope follower to get a little bit more of a gradual feeling while you're moving the microphone. This video is not sponsored by Skym. This is an app I've genuinely been using long before I had MPE and the Push 3 to build a more interactive relationship with my Ableton devices. What's nice is after you follow the app setup, all I have to do is go to the scrub sampler, right click, lock it to the app. It maps itself instantly, and now I get to physically hold the scrub sampler. Fortunately, setting up MPE and Push 3 is just that fast. All you have to do is go to the MPE tab, make sure to click on this drop-down menu and choose Slide. Then just click on that same scrub control and it's all up and running. If your scrub control is grayed out and it's not letting you map it, you might still have it mapped to the envelope follower on the microphone tab. If so, just head over to that tab and hit X, and then the control should go back to a dark gray and you can map something new. To make the scrub sampler work, it was really strange, but I'm glad I found it. I have this muted operator in OTT, which if I unmute it, it makes this super clicky sound every time I move operator's volume. I'm not sure why this happens, but this has been happening stably since I started producing. If you overcompress, sometimes some settings start to make these clicking sounds. By linking this volume knob to the same one that's controlling the sampler playhead, both are happening at the same time. The last step was getting that click sound to tell an arpeggiator to play a small bit of sound every time that click happens. It creates the sampler that only plays sound when you scrub through. The next device in this bundle is called the Dynamic Hat Sampler. This preset lets you drag in one hi-hat sample and makes you feel like you have an expensive reactive sample library, or as if you're recording a real hi-hat. Here's one hi-hat sample in a regular sampler. And without adding anything else, this is just the Dynamic Hat Sampler preset. This works instantly with any velocity sensitive MIDI controller, but if you want to use your trackpad, all you have to do is grab the velocity MIDI effect, drag it in front, group them together, set the velocity mode to fixed, then right click on that output high and map it to macro 1. Now you'll be able to play this realistic hi-hat feeling on the trackpad as well. If I want to switch over to Skym, I just right click, lock this one to Skym, and it's working. It even works with sounds that aren't really hi-hats. Here's my voice recorded on my laptop speaker. It doesn't sound real at all. But then when I drag it into this preset, it's starting to have the expression of a hi-hat without needing to be a hi-hat. And I think that's the power of sound design. The last device I have for you is called Jump for Joy. It's a super simple concept, but it's really fun to use, and it lets me do something on the Push 3 I don't think I've seen anywhere else yet. All you do is load up a sample, make sure it's looping, and then you can use the octave jumper to play rhythm through pitch instead of playing rhythm through silence in between notes. This feels great on the trackpad. If I want to jump to Skym, all I have to do is right click and lock it to Skym, and now it's instantly mapped to my phone. To make this work on the Push 3, you just go to the MPE tab I set up for you, you select one of the controls as slide, and then you map it to the octave jump. And now with one finger on just one pad on the Push 3, I can slide up and down to hit these perfect octaves. I thought it was going to stop there, but then my finger accidentally nudged, and it turns out all you have to do is wiggle your finger on the push to turn a clean sample into something that feels so worn down and unique. And that's all 3 devices and how to use them. They've been so crucial to me when it comes to figuring out where my sound is going, how to reapproach sound design so that it just connects with more producers and listeners alike. So I hope you have as much fun creating with these things as I did making them for myself. I'm so excited to give you more details about my upcoming music because the feedback I've gotten is the exact feeling I want someone to have when they're absorbing my message, my environment, my music. So thank you for everything so far. I hope you have fun with these devices, and I'll catch you next time.